We've seen a disturbing rise in anti-Semitism in recent years, which is always accompanies the anti-Israel rhetoric that's prevalent in the lefty globalist institutions. To try to combat this, Israel's foreign ministry has appointed actress, writer, and great friend of outsiders, Noa Tishby, as Israel's first special envoy for combating anti-Semitism and the delegitimization of Israel. Noa has been on Outsiders before, and I'm delighted to say on this Easter morning, she's back here with us now. Noa, great to see you. How are you?
Great to be here. Happy Easter, everyone.
And thank you. Now, listen, you have so many feathers in your cap. You're a great author. Your book, Israel, A Simple Guide to the Most Misunderstood Country on Earth, is a must-read book about Israel. You've been in Hollywood movies. You comment a lot on political events. Now, this is a great new role for you, and congratulations on being appointed to it. It's a real honour. Yair Lapid, pin the label on you. Special Envoy for Combating Anti-Semitism and the Delegitimization of Israel. So, Noa, tell us, you've got a big job in front of you. Tell us how you're going to tackle it.
Yes, I have a big job in front of me. Obviously, we had a joke, Foreign Minister Lapid and I, when he appointed me, I looked at him and I said, wow, you're setting me up to fail, don't you? Because anti-Semitism is the oldest form of discrimination that is still being practiced today. So people seem to think that anti-Semitism is gone, but it's very much still here. It's thousands of years old. It's as old as the Jewish people, and it's been on the rise tremendously in recent years. I'm very honored to be able to do this job and to accept this role. Obviously, this is for Special Envoy for Combating Anti-Semitism and the delegitimization of the State of Israel, which are one and the same. It's just a new form of anti-Semitism.
Rita.
And we're also seeing this new wave of anti-Western civilization, anti-capitalist, anti-white sentiment that's prevalent, particularly at universities and amongst younger people. And anti-Semitism seems to be wrapped up in that as well.
It has. Look, it has. In recent surveys, we've seen that over 1 billion people all over the world hold anti-Semitic views. 50% of college kids in America are hiding their Jewish identity. 1 out of 10 Americans never heard of the Holocaust, and 63% of Americans didn't know that 6 million Jews were murdered in the Holocaust. So we are in a terrible place right now. Now, obviously, the world is fighting the war on reality. Right? So we see this everywhere, all over the world, in every single country, pretty much. And Israel is pretty much patient zero in this. So the fake news about Israel is extreme, and it's endangering the single consistent democracy in the Middle East and the biggest ally to the West. And I'm thrilled to be able to be on the front line and fight that.
James.
But I keep seeing out of the United States more and more reports, although they aren't hugely publicized, which I think is distressing in and of itself, of these anti-Semitic attacks specifically targeting Jews. There was an attack in New Jersey where a guy went on a 10-hour rampage and stabbed an Orthodox Jewish man in Lakewood Township in New Jersey. I see from people I know who live in New York still, where I'm from, that especially out in Brooklyn and Queens, around Orthodox Jewish neighborhoods, they're just the victims of random street crimes all the time, targeted specifically because of this. Why are we not hearing more about this from the American media, which seems so quick to jump on a hate crime whenever it fits the left-wing narrative?
I wish I knew the answer as to why. But the fact of the matter is, there's been a 300% rise in anti-Semitic attacks in New York City in January, 400% rise in February. It's an actual problem. If you're visibly Jewish, right, if you're an Orthodox Jew and you're walking around, you are in danger right now, let alone if you are a target of anti-Israel, which turns into an anti-Semitic attacks like we saw in May when a group of protesters walked out of a car in a restaurant in La Cienega in Los Angeles and basically asked people who is Jewish. And since the Jews were not in any mood to hide, they just went, yeah, me, and were attacked by iron rods. So yes, this is exactly why this role is so important. Israel never had a special envoy for anti-Semitism before, and this is why this role is so important, to actually shed light on this, because it's happening all the time.
And Noa, it's also happening in Israel itself. So we've seen Arabs rioting on the Temple Mount on Ramadan. There were hundreds arrested. There have been some stabbings and so on, which seem to be a regular part of life in Israel. It depresses but also astonishes me how the world can't understand that Israel, the Jews deserve a nation where they are safe in. The Arabs have a million nations where they're perfectly safe. No one's running around making life difficult for them. Why can't the world accept that the Jews can have Israel as a home where they feel safe every single day? Why is it such a big thing to ask?
It's a great question. Why do you think? I'm not sure. I'm going to actually give this answer, but I'm pretty sure I know the answer to this. Listen, the Jews deserve self-determination, self-governance, and some part of their ancestral land. Period. End of story. There's no question about that. Also, the Jews in Israel is the only country which allows freedom of religion to everybody. Arabs, Jews, Christians, Baha'i, whatever it is that you do. There are rioters that are actually right now in Al-Aqsa barricading themselves, causing problems. This is an intentional desire to escalate the situation, and I hope it does not. I really hope it does not.
James.
But the international community seems to be, at least through its governance structures, very much stacked against Israel. I'm just looking at the news out of the United Nations that has just elected 10 regimes that repress human rights activists to its Committee on NGOs that oversees the work of human rights groups that go and attack countries like Israel. And they include China, Cuba, Turkey, Zimbabwe, Nicaragua, Eritrea, Pakistan, Algeria, Bahrain, and Cameroon. Now, a lot of those aren't exactly places I'd associate with human rights, yet it's Israel that's always copping the stick.
Look, I adore the United Nations. I think it's a great body with great intentions, but it really needs to refocus what it is that it's about and its mission statement, and actually hold 53% of the countries in the United Nations are non-democratic. So the United Nations needs to hold these countries accountable before they're trying to bash Israel yet again. Obviously, the United Nations is extremely biased against Israel. There are more United Nations Security Council resolution against Israel than China, Saudi Arabia, Russia, Iran combined, right? So there's definitely an issue there, which I actually am hoping to tackle as well and communicate and make public.
Well, Noa Tishby, your grandfather, Hanan Yavor, was actually a member of the Israeli delegation to the United Nations. I don't know if he's still alive or not, but I'm sure he would be extremely proud of his granddaughter. Congratulations on the new job, and those anti-Semites better look out, because Noa Tishby is coming for you. Noa, so great to see you.